Have you been thinking about getting a credit card? Well, you're in the right place because in this video, we're going to be talking about what a credit card is, why you should have one, and why you should start building your credit in 2022. So, if you're ready for that, let's get started. So, first, we need to talk about what is a credit card. So, a credit card is a way for you to borrow money with the agreement that you are going to pay this money back at a later date. With this credit card, you're able to pay for pretty much anything you would be able to pay for with a debit card or with cash. But in this, you're borrowing money that you don't necessarily have, right? So with this, you're given a credit limit. So let's say the bank gives you a credit limit. My first credit limit was $900. So they give you a credit limit, let's say $900. Now with that credit limit, they want to see how you manage this money. Now with that, that's sort of like a report card, right? They're scoring you on how well you're managing the money they give you, how much you're using of it. If you're using it all, you're maxing it out, you're using all 900 or all whatever your credit limit is. Or if you are being wise with your money, being wise with the credit they're giving you, and they want to give you more, right? So that's in a brief synopsis what credit cards are and why kind of the banks, it's an important measure for them to see how credit worthy you are and how this can lead to different things in your life, such as buying houses, cars, getting loans, things like that, and getting good interest rates on those so you're not coming out of pocket so much. So we're going to be talking about that further in just a bit. Now, if you're like most people out here, they were told, do not get a credit card. Credit cards are the devil, okay? They tell you, I was told in college, do not get a credit card. Well, do not get a credit card. They will try to meet you at the school. They will have their booths there. Do not entertain it. Do not get a credit card. Do not put yourself in that much debt. Do not avoid credit cards at all costs. Debit, right? Now, was this wise advice? Maybe for a college kid, who's just getting that much money in their hand and it's like, let's swipe. Yes. But credit cards are not the devil. Credit cards are like angels. Cue the halo, okay? So, credit cards open up so many doors for you that you would never have if you just kept debit cards and cash, right? You cannot buy a car in cash most times. You cannot buy a house in cash most times. Most people do not have that ability. Some people do. Just drop the cash on the table. But not everybody has that. And with great credit, you don't have to have that amount of money in your possession because they trust you that you're going to pay it back. So in this world, having a credit card is like a whole new world and it's opening so many doors for you. But having a debit card or only using cash, you're just more limited to what you're able to do with your money and what you're able to do with the bank's money, with other people's money, and using other people's money to leverage you. So if that's kind of your concern about debit and credit cards, that's something that most people go through, most people think of, because a lot of people weren't raised to think credit is a good thing and to think that credit cards are there to help you. You think, oh my gosh, debt. And credit cards are not just about debt. Not all debt is bad debt. So if you have any over the differences between a debit card and a credit card. So firstly, we have a debit card. So a debit card allows you to use the money that you already have in your possession. It's your money, right? Now, a credit card, you have a limit on the money that you can use, but it doesn't have to be the money that you have in your direct possession. So, again, we're going to go over it again. A debit card does not build credit, while a credit card helps to build credit. You pay in real time with a debit card, right? When you swipe, that money comes off of that card. With a credit card, you pay that money later. It processes on the credit card and you are responsible for paying that at a later date. With a debit card, there is no interest on anything you pay for. If it was $20 when you bought it, it's going to remain that same $20 and it's already paid. Versus a credit card, if something was $20 and you do not pay it within that month, you can have a interest rate, right? An interest fee on your money. So let's say, we're going to give sort of simple terms, that there's a $20 item. You pay for that $20 item, and in this case, let's say you have a 10% interest rate. This is extremely good. You probably will never get a 10% interest rate off of a credit card right now. But just for sakes, we're going to say, okay, with your $20 item, if you buy that on credit, later on, if you don't pay it by the end of the month, that month goes and lapses, then you are responsible for paying $22. So 2 divided by 20, so that's 10%. Now, also with a debit card, there are some more cons with debit cards. If there are any fraudulent charges on your debit card, you are sometimes responsible for those. Versus credit cards, they are a little bit more strict, well, a little bit more lenient. It's kind of hard to say strict. A little bit more lenient with the fraudulent charges. So if you have a fraudulent charge on your credit card, most of the time you will not be responsible for those. So that's just a brief little go around of debit versus credit cards. So now we're going to go into how do they determine your score. So with how they determine your score, you are going to basically get your report card from every single credit card or line of credit you have. This could be loans, this could be car payments, if rent is on your credit, your mortgage, things like that, right? So they are going to see these payments or lack thereof, right? And they're going to say, okay, did this person pay on time? Was this person a late payment? Did they not pay at all? Are they in collection, meaning you didn't pay this bill? This could be medical bills. This could be pretty much anything, right? So is that still on your credit? Meaning, okay, we didn't get this money back from you. Now, this is a report card in a adult type of way. This is an adult report card, right? Outside of college, but it's an adult report card. So they're going to say, okay, well, based on this person's ability to pay us back, we're going to determine if they can get more credit or if we're going to limit the amount of credit they can have, right? So the more you pay back on time, the more you prove your credit worthiness, is what they'll say on the applications. The more you prove your credit worthiness, the more money they will give you, right? Now, the more you show that you are not credit worthy, the less they will give you. So think about this like your friend. Let's say your friend Jim, he never pays you back. Every time you loan him $20, $50, $100, doesn't matter. Jim will not pay you back on time, right? Now, you don't care about Jim's excuses, right? You get it, Jim. I get you're going through it, Jim. But Jim doesn't pay you back, right? Versus your friend, let's say this is George. And George, every time you give him $20, $50, $100, it could be more than that. And he pays you back when he says he's going to pay you back. Now, are you more likely to give money to George or are you more likely to give money to Jim? I'm going to let you answer that. Okay, so most likely you're likely to give money to George because you're like, George always pays me back. George is great and he makes sure I get my money back and he doesn't lie to me, right? Versus Jim, you're like, I can give Jim more money, but I really don't want to, right? So that's how the bank's credit, they all see it, right? So that's the easiest way to explain it. Now, with this, any reports that you have off of your credit, so like I said, medical bills, credit cards, etc., those are going to get reported to your payments, whether they're on time, they're late, etc. They're going to report that to 3 different credit bureaus. So there's Transunion, there's Equifax, and there's Experian. So with all 3 of these bureaus, they're going to send in your report card. Now, from this, they're going to take that and say, okay, what is this person's credit score, right? So now with your credit score and how high or how low it is, that's going to determine your future with what credit limits you can have, what interest rates you can have, and basically your whole adult life. So we're going to go into a little bit about what they're looking for in terms of credit. So what makes up your credit score? So the main part of your credit score is payment history. Do you have any late payments? Do you make sure your bills are paid on time? And do you never skip payments? Now, you basically want this payment history to be 100 out of 100. You want to make sure that you're never missing payments and that you don't have late payments. Because if either of these happen, your score will go down. Now, there's times where I was completely freaked out. Like I missed a payment because somehow my account had changed. I forgot that it had changed. The money did not process, right? I freaked out. But if you do miss a payment, now take this with a grain of salt. If you do miss a payment on accident, you can call the bank, and if you do have a good relationship with that bank, they will usually waive that late fee. And if it is less than a certain time period, you usually are able to not have that late payment show up on your credit. And I will show you that amount right here on the screen of what that time is. Now, what about your next? Your next biggest part of your credit score is your amount owed. Now, are you keeping a low amount on your credit? Are you using a lot of your credit limit, right? So this is your credit utilization rate. How much of your credit are you utilizing, right? So if they give you $900, are you using all $900? Or are you using $300? Or are you using $90, right? Now, with credit, it's a bit weird because what they want you to do is get the credit, but basically not act like you need it so badly, right? So what you will be going for is to use that $90 of your $900, or at the most to use that $300, somewhere a little bit less than that, 30% of that $900. So use that $300 or so dollars. So not all 900. Now with that, your credit utilization rate fluctuates with time because, let's say this month you use more, and let's say reports. Your credit utilization rate will go up and your credit score may drop a bit. But as soon as you pay that off, that drops right back down and your credit score rises again. So that is not something that sticks with you quite as long as your payment history. Now, we have the next one, which is new accounts. Do you have a lot of new credit account inquiries? So are there a lot of different credit card companies that are showing, hey, this person applied for our credit card. This person applied for this credit card. This person applied for this credit card, right? So they want to show that you are not just going out getting credit right back to back, right? And some banks, we're talking about Chase here, is known to have a 524 rule. So the rule being that you should not have over 5 cards that you've applied for, that you've gotten in the last 24 months. Now, with this, The main rule of thumb is to just keep it to a minimum, not to pick every single card that they send you in the mail to apply for, because they will send you plenty, but to be more strategic with your cards and to pick the ones that you really are interested in and that are really worth your time. So that's with new accounts, worth 15% of your score. Now with length of history. Now, length of history is something that's a little bit more out of your control, because if you're just starting with credit, let's say you're a new 18, or you are really any age and you haven't built your credit out yet. Now, this is where you are going to have a short credit history just because you're new to it, right? But the longer that you have your credit, the longer that you show that you're using these credit cards, the longer that you've had these credit lines, the stronger your credit will be. As they see, okay, this person has been doing this for some time, we think we can really trust them, right? So with this, there is a strategy to this also, as it's only 10% of your credit report, your credit score. So it's not a super major deal. But with your credit history, if you are on the younger side and you are new to credit, it's not a bad idea to get more credit cards sooner and kind of stack them on each other while you're young, before you're trying to get a mortgage, before you're trying to buy a car, et cetera, et cetera. Because by the time you're able to go in and buy that car, you've had that credit history for a while, and all of those reports of you getting new credit, etc., are already gone and past. So this is just, they're using your average. So if you got a card 4 years ago and then you had a card yesterday, they're going to average those out. So 4 years and 0. They're going to add those together and average them. So your average credit history is 2 years' time. So with that, they're going to use that, and also that's going to contribute to your credit score. And the last part of your credit score is your type of credit. So now this is just getting a variety of credit lines. So this is, okay, do you have a credit card? Do you also have a mortgage? You have student loans that you've shown you can pay off. Your credit cards, etc., etc. Your car loan that you've shown that you can pay off. So all the different diversity of credit that you've shown, okay, I've shown that I can pay off this, I've shown that I can pay off this on time, and I've shown that I'm worthy of more credit and more credit and more credit, right? So the more your credit limit, the more credit you're offered, the better, right? So I want to touch on one more thing before we get off with our credit utilization rate. I want to circle back to credit utilization rate, or amount owed. Now, with amount owed, they are taking into account all credit cards you have. So that could be if you have a $900 limit here, and a $1,000 limit here, a $200 limit here. They are adding up all of those together and then taking up how much you use of that credit. So if you have $3,000 spread across all of your credit cards, they are looking at, okay, how much of that are they using? Are they using every single cent? So I just wanted to touch on that briefly, that all of those credit cards are coming together to be on your credit utilization. Now with all of these together, you are going to have your credit score. Now to track my credit score, I mostly use Credit Karma. You can also go on Experian, and you're able to get one free credit report every year. They do have that, I believe, a couple of different places, but I will link those down below of how you can find your credit score, and you're able to track it from there. Now with Credit Karma, it's super easy to track. I will also have to put up a graphic right here. You show your credit history, your approximate credit score, and how you're doing. So how you can improve it, what things may be showing up on your credit that you may want to get removed in some way, shape, or form, right? And it's going to be showing you, so you're able to keep track of your score, and you're able to see kind of how you can improve your score so you can get all the things I mentioned, the great loans, the great interest rates, etc. And right here, this will show you where when you lie on your credit, where you lie on your credit, that what your interest rate will be. So this is a great example of why your credit score being high is such a great benefit to you. If this helped you out, I want you to go ahead and give a comment of what was your favorite tip, what really clicked in your mind, and what credit cards you think you're going to start with. Now, I will be doing more videos on credit in the near future. I'm planning on doing on how to apply for credit, how I got my 700 plus credit score at 20 years old, and how you can continue to improve yours. So if you like this video, I would love it if you liked and you subscribed, and I will see you next week.